welcome to GC 360's Tuesday Bobcat Experience, your source for information and entertainment here at Georgia College. I'm Caroline Hearn.
And I'm Frankie Mastras. We're doing something new here at GC 360, coming to you on Tuesdays as well as Thursdays.
So on the menu today, join us for what will be a regular segment, The Week in Politics with our panel of experts. They'll break down everything you need to know from the presidential candidates to the platforms and more.
Georgia College baseball team hit a major bump in the road on the way to this week's homecoming game. Herndon will have our sports segment.
With another week of heavy rains and chilly temperatures, Gabby is back with our bi-weekly weather report. And we break down what's going on in the world of entertainment, both right here in Georgia College and around the globe. Let's get started.
Let's toss it over to Kat Kaptick, who will introduce our guests and moderate our panel discussion.
Hi, I'm Kat Capstick, and we're delighted to have three distinguished guests to talk about the week in politics. Quentin Howell is chairman of the Baldwin County Democratic Party. Dr. Harold Mock is an assistant professor of history and director of the Georgia College Leadership Program. And Madeline Ballantyne is a member of the Young Republicans for Liberty. Welcome to all of you.
Thank you.
Thank you, Kat.
So, let's talk a little bit about what's going on in the Democratic field right now. I'd love to get the perspective from anyone really who wants to answer this one. Do you think that Bernie Sanders is electable? He's currently a front runner for the Democratic primary. He's doing really well in the polls. He did well in Iowa. He did well in New Hampshire. But the question on everyone's mind is, can he win a presidency? Maddie, if you have thoughts?
No. Okay, so he has like a lot of support coming in with like the Democratic Party right now, but the issue is he actually going to be like volatile as far as candidates go coming into 2020's election in November? And the issue is like he might be able to get 28% of the vote from the Democratic Party, but he's not going to be able to unify the rest of the U.S. because only like 1/3 of like the U.S. is registered as being D, so those people might go into it and have support for him, but then like the other 2/3 aren't going to necessarily go his way. So I don't think he really has a chance of being the next president, but I do think he has a strong chance of being the nomination for the Democratic Party. So that's just my view.
And Quentin, what's your perspective on this?
Well, thank you again for having me. It's Quentin T. Howell. But I think we learned in 2016, everybody have a chance to become president of the United States of America with experience or not experience. So the answer is, yeah, he has a chance to become president. He has a chance to become a nominee. If you ask me my personal opinion, will that occur? I think he has some uphill battles. I even question the fact if he's the front runner. I don't think the first primary, with all the issues that was having with the software, equals even a clear winner at all. And the second primary historically has been kind of inaccurate in a lot of cases. Not the South always tells the toll. It's been said for the past 20 or 30 years. Way go to South, way go to country. So and that's what happened in 2016. That will happen in other areas. So the major primary that's going to occur very soon, I think, will give you the hand of who will be the nominee. It's going to be someone who's definitely going to have appeal, and not just the mainstream Democratic community, but also the African American community, which represent a large portion of that. And I think a unifying factor. One of the greatest things the Democratic Party has going with it right now is every single time our current president tweets. So the more he tweets, the better looking we are.
Mm-hmm. So you're talking about the South Carolina primary, and thank you for bringing that up because I do have a question on Mayor Pete Buttigieg. He did well. He's doing well. He's definitely surged ahead in the Democratic primary field, but he polls at 1% with African Americans and 0 to 1% with Latinos. The question is Mayor Pete electable? Do you think a Democrat can get elected without widespread support from African American and Hispanic people?
When you say get elected, do you mean receive the nomination or get elected to the presidency?
Either or both.
Well, to get the presidency, we have to get to the nomination first. And if the question is, can he receive the nomination with widespread support, that means he's going to need to have it. And can it be done? It can. It requires some definite work. A lot of times pollings are so inaccurate because if you don't have if it's more than plus or minus 3%, or if it's a biased poll, a lot of times a lot of voters look and they wonder, who are they getting the polling stuff from, because they're never calling me. So in a sense, that can be a little difficult. One of the things that all the Democratic candidates for nomination have. That's a problem for them. They run against someone who was on the ticket with President Obama, one of our most popular presidents to this time right now. And so that's being overshadowed. And when it comes to the South, Vice President Biden has 3 or 4 steps up on everybody. So it's going to be very difficult for anyone in that field to kind of overshadow President Biden once it gets to the South Carolina primary.
And Dr. Mock, we've just gone through the Iowa and New Hampshire caucus. We have more caucuses coming up, including South Carolina. So as a professor of history, do you believe that these caucuses are still relevant to the America today? Do you think they still give us an accurate portrayal of what the voting field is going to look like?
So an excellent question. I think the answer ultimately is yes. It's the system that we've built. We have tweaked and changed that system many times over the past roughly 120 years since we've developed what is now the modern primary and caucus structure. But we can't mistake the way Republicans historically have approached primary season with the way Democrats historically have approached primary and caucus season. If Iowa revealed to us anything, it is that this is going to probably be a longer contest than maybe a lot of odds makers would have initially thought. Political scientists joke that candidates need money, momentum, and media attention. And we have plenty of money running through American politics. We had plenty of media attention, but nobody left Iowa with clear momentum in the way that I think every one of the contenders in Iowa had hoped to. Yeah. Additionally, to answer your question, Democrats win elections by building coalitions. That's what Barack Obama did so well, so effectively in 2008. But dating back to to Franklin Roosevelt, what we call the New Deal coalition, that's how Democrats have historically won elections. The question of which of these contenders for the Democratic nomination is best equipped to build an effective coalition going into the general election is a good one, but I don't know that we have enough data yet to answer the question as well as we would like to.
Thank you, I appreciate that. And Maddie, I want to direct this one towards you. As a representative of student libertarians, correct?
Yeah.
Okay.
Sure.
From the libertarian perspective, who's the best option running? Is Trump who the libertarians like? Do you feel that you have a strong libertarian candidate in this field?
So going into this election, libertarians, we do actually have candidates that will be running. I don't think anyone's thinking that our third-party candidates are going to win, but the idea is just to vote to get the word out about our candidates and our principles and stuff like that. So right now, there's a candidate that I'm personally in favor of called Jacob Hornberger, and he pretty much stands for libertarian principles of just liberty, free markets, less government. So I'm in favor of him. But generally, there have been a couple of conventions throughout the states, and at those, people are voting for who we want to be our nomination coming up, and Hornberger is in first so far. So that's what's going in.
So do you feel that libertarians in general, or people who vote more third party, are going to stick with third party candidates? Or do you think if it comes down to, say, Bernie Sanders and Donald Trump, that libertarians and other third party voters are going to go for one or the other?
So I think it's just going to be a personal decision. It's going to be a toss-up, and what people try to do is ultimately how they see their vote working. Because I hear the argument constantly, voting third party is wasting your vote. And I respect people that have that opinion, it's okay, sure. But for me, whenever I vote third party, it's I'm voting for what I actually believe in. This person stands for what I want to see happen in government. Because I believe in voting for a person with their platform, not just a party. So that's why I'm personally voting third party. But for libertarians in general, I think going in the 2020 election, if they choose to vote for whoever the Democratic nomination is or Trump, it's really going to boil down to how they view the third party vote, and whether they do view it as voting for the other side, or if they actually think that their vote can change the world or change our current state of politics.
Thank you. I've wondered what the libertarian and third candidate sort of take on this election is, especially in a country that's as polarized as ours is, that tends to be very black and white, and either Democrat or Republican, what it looks like for people who are in maybe the gray space.
Yeah.
This can go to any of you. This week, we've heard about Attorney General Barr intervening on the sentencing of Roger Stone. This has taken a lot of criticism from people, especially as you've said, the more the president tweets about it, the more people seem to be up in arms about it. Anyone who'd like to sort of offer their thoughts on whether it's appropriate, on whether the outrage in response to it is appropriate or commensurate to what's going on? Does anyone have any thoughts?
Well, sure. And if I could just add something to what the young lady said on your last question, when you told the third party votes and people voted, that was when I was managing the candidates one time. I told the candidate, either you running for office, either make a point or you're running to win, and that actually translates to your vote. Sometimes you're voting to make a point, or you're voting for your particular person to win, and a lot of that translates if you're trying to make a vote for a point or a vote for a win. And so at the end of the day, that's that personal decision that comes down to Americans as voters, no matter what particular party, if they decide on one or what they label themselves to be. Mm-hmm. But as it proceeds to what you just asked on President Barr and the treating that, and the professor might can address this a little bit more, but in my lifetime, I've seen the presidential office, be if you like who's in president, if you like Reagan, or if you like Bush, if you like Carter, or didn't like Carter, whoever was there was a certain amount of respect, a certain amount of decorum that office held. And there was a phrase that went through the 80s when I was coming through. You might dislike the person in the office, but you always respect the office. And there's certain things that's going on, be it, you're tweeting about legal issues, you're firing people. He fired the guy who testified honestly in court against what he had did that was declared illegal by the House of Representatives.
Lieutenant Colonel Vindman.
Yes, ma'am, and his twin brother. Thank you. So all that kind of goes to a point of it's a mark. It's a harsh mark against the office. And I remember when Republicans had a problem with that when President Clinton was in office. They felt he did some things that gave a harsh mark against the office. It deterred the office. It went past the person. I would love to see our country be able to look at that even playing field. It don't matter who's in there or what part of the end. If they taking the country back a step, or if they're doing something to hurt that particular office, that's when people need to be a little bit more up in arms, and that should come from both sides, not just one side.
And Dr. Mock, what's your perspective on this? What is? Do you think that it's appropriate for the Attorney General to intervene? I mean, clearly he has the right to intervene in Justice Department proceedings, but do you think it is right?
Yeah, well, as you certainly know, Kat, we're not just a nation of laws, we're also a nation of norms. And just because something is maybe strictly legal by the letter of the law, long-standing tradition and the expectations that citizens have for the way their government works hold that all of our public officials will abide typically by certain norms. So a good example is that there's no law that requires presidential candidates to release their tax returns. But it has been a norm that for 50 to 60 years, every presidential candidate from a major political party has released their tax returns for public inspection. What you're describing is a violation of a norm of American politics. That is, justice is apolitical. And we have seen across the Trump presidency a lot of breaking of norms, or a lot of defiance of norms. So the situation this past week has been maybe a little bit of an ugly one, but I don't think it's something that's been terribly surprising.
And, the sad part, if I can, because I agree with the professor on this, and something that frustrates some of, I think, Americans out there whole, especially Americans who was very supportive of our last president, President Barack Obama, if he had in any way, shape, or form interfered in a legal proceeding that was going on, they would have had a conniption. But not just the norms, it seemed like the standards get switched or get shifted. And and that's interesting that President Trump has that ability, because no other Republican presidents have had that, or Democratic presidents. Something about this gentleman that holds the White House now, he has that ability, as he say, to stand in the middle of the road, shoot someone, and not get arrested. No other president would ever even make that comment before. That's against any norm that we ever have. And so, I find that as a student of politics and a student of people very interesting. And it's in a sense, it's kind of sad that so many people prescribe to it, but there's always that other side, that underbelly side of this country. They ain't got nothing to do with Republicans or Democrats. It's just that other side that has kind of a vitriol or a hate or a meanness to it, and they love that. And he exploits it. He wasn't the first presidential candidate or president to do it. We had at least 2 or 3 before. I think George Wallace, who was a presidential candidate before, he exploited that. And a lot of people say if he'd never gotten shot and ended up in a wheelchair, instead of Jimmy Carter, we would have had him as president. But he was the one that said, if you elect me, I'll beat black folks with axe handles and back. People loved it. He was on a sure shot. So, he has exploited that in a large way, which is interesting.
And really quickly, Maddie, I just want to get your perspective. A common, I think, libertarian ideology is that the government that works best is the government that works least. And do you feel that this level of government intervention in the proceedings of the justice system is appropriate?
And are you just talking about just in regards to Barr overstepping into Stone's case? Yeah, I personally viewed it as just being kind of like an overreach. There was already a sentence made. I didn't necessarily agree with the sentence. I felt like it was a little harsh compared to what other people had received for the same kind of crimes. They received about 10 to 12 months in prison, whereas he's getting about 7 years. So I get that, but personally, in regards to this, I'm just curious about how it's going to play out. So.
Well, thank you all so much for your time, and we really appreciate your perspective on this. That's all for politics this week. Let's toss it back to Frankie and C to see what we have next.
Special thanks to GC360's own Kat Capstick and all of our panelists.
When we return, Herndon Lee breaks down all Bobcats baseball and more.
They took over my bedroom. Come on, come on. Okay, Dad. 1, 2, 3. Dad! You saved me. Dad?
Are you okay?
I'm fine, dear.
Your hero needs you now, and AARP is here to help. Find the care guides you need at aarp.org/caregiving.
Here's to the things that can keep us safe. Those we use all the time with hardly a thought. Those that are silently standing by to save our lives. And now, those that we carry with us everywhere we go. Many mobile devices will now bring you wireless emergency alerts, real-time information directly from local sources you know and trust. With the unique sound and vibration, you'll be in the know, wherever you are.
When you look at the number of disasters in the U.S., chances are every area will deal with some kind of emergency in the next decade. And between school, sports, and social lives, chances are you won't be with your kids when it happens. Will they know what to do? Ready.gov/kids has the educational tools and information to make the conversation easy. When the time comes, chances are they'll feel prepared, not scared. So talk with your family today.
Hello and welcome back to GC360 Sports. I'm Herndon Lee here with your Tuesday sports update. The Georgia College baseball team was on a roll, undefeated in 8 games until the 8th inning of Saturday's contest against conference rivals Francis Marion. They were ahead 4-1 when the wheels came off. Coach Jason Eller went to the bullpen and Francis Marion took full advantage. Bobcats pitching walked 4 batters, hit 3, and Francis Marion came out with 2 hits. They also scored 6 runs in the 8th inning and held the Bobcats scoreless in the bottom of the 8th and 9th inning to hand Georgia College their first loss of the season, 7-4. The day before, Bobcats defeated Francis Marion 6-1 to notch their 8th straight victory. Georgia College and Francis Marion were supposed to play one more game on Sunday, but the game was canceled due to rain. The softball team suffered 4 more losses this past weekend to put their record now at 1-7. The team played doubleheaders at home on Saturday against North Greenville, and on Sunday they traveled to Anderson. The softball team will be away this weekend to face off against Newberry, but will be home again on February 26 to host West Georgia. In national sports news, the Daytona 500 was on Sunday, and it had a serious ending. On the final lap of the race, Ryan Newman was leading a close race, and the car behind him was hit. Ryan Blandy bumped Newman and sent him crashing into the wall before another driver hit the driver's side of Newman's car. The collision sent Newman's car airborne before landing upside down and on the side of the track. After the car stopped moving, it caught fire but was quickly put out by the track personnel. Newman was removed from the car and rushed to the hospital nearby. He is still in the hospital and in serious condition, but the doctors say that none of his injuries are life-threatening. That's it for sports today. I'll be back for more on Thursday on the World of Sports. Let's toss it back over to Frankie and C.
Heavy rains are making it chilly in Millie. Stay tuned for the weather with Gabby after the break.
Dad?
Just 1 minute, okay?
Hey, Bobo, do trees tell each other stories?
I'm sorry. I'm afraid I don't know that.
Hey, why don't we go find out? Listen.
Do clouds take naps?
I couldn't tell you.
Can birds draw pictures?
I don't have an answer for that.
Dad, do stars visit their friends?
Look!
Welcome back to your weather forecast. I'm Gabrielle Duchateau. Well, what did I tell you? This past weekend was pretty chilly compared to the temperatures we had the past 2 weeks, and it doesn't look like the weather is going to get any more consistent. I'm forecasting rain, sunshine, near freezing temperatures, warmer temperatures, humidity, and more rain. So let's see if that's the case. Wednesday is setting up to be a steadily rainy day. The high for Wednesday is 61 degrees and the low is 41 degrees. The chance of rain is 60% and the humidity is at 88. So let's bring those raincoats and umbrellas with us to campus tomorrow. Thursday is going to bring you guessed it, more rain. It's going to be quite cooler than Wednesday, with the high reaching only 45 degrees and the low down to a near freezing 35 degrees. The chance of rain rises to 70% and the humidity rises to 90%. So for Thursday, make sure to bring a raincoat and umbrella again, but this time also wear a warm coat. That's it for me. Check back on Thursday for a very important forecast. Weather for homecoming weekend. Stay tuned to learn more about what's going on in the world of entertainment.
Hey, Bobo, do trees tell each other stories?
I'm sorry. I'm afraid I don't know that.
Hey, why don't we go find out? Listen.
clouds take naps?
I couldn't tell you.
Can birds draw pictures?
I don't have an answer for that.
Dad, do stars visit their friends?
Look!
Welcome back. So we have a big show coming up this week. The Georgia College Theater Department is putting on the musical Heathers.
C spoke to some of the cast members about their thoughts on the show, including Airden Mole, GC Jr., who plats the lead, Veronica. Let's take a look and see what this show has in store for us.
Georgia College's Department of Theater and Dance presents Heathers the Musical. Heathers is a teen comedy that also opens conversations about dark issues, including bullying, teen suicide, sexual assault, and violence in schools. The high school is run by 3 queen bees, all named Heather.
Shut up, Heather. Sorry, Heather.
Veronica Sawyer is a student who forges the Heather's way out of detention, so they give her a makeover and take her under their wing.
Veronica, you are looking good tonight.
I spoke to some of the cast members about their thoughts on the show, including Airden Mole, a Georgia College junior playing the lead role of Veronica.
I think the overall message of the show is that it's okay to be messy, and high school is supposed to be messy, and nothing is perfect about adolescence, you know. And it's okay to fall in love with the wrong person and to deal with those emotions and to try to find popularity, and it's okay to go through those things, but the overall message is that that's not what's most important, and those are all stepping stones to finding out who you are as a human being, and that it's okay to mess up and make mistakes and be dumb sometimes.
My favorite part of the show is at the end of the show when everybody comes together and everybody realizes that it's okay to be a little weird and funky sometimes, and that everybody has a place in this world.
Everyone has like their own stuff going on, and that, you know, you can't really exactly judge people you know, by what they appear to be, because you learn about every character, even if it's just for a moment, that they have like their own vulnerabilities and insecurities.
Come and see this theatrical adaptation of the 1988 film Heathers. Showtimes are on February 19th through 22nd at 7:30 and February 23rd at 2 o'clock in Russell Auditorium. That looked amazing. So I know you are house manager for the show. Can you tell me a little bit about, you're excited for opening night tomorrow?
I am thrilled about opening night happening tomorrow.
Oh, yeah.
So I got to watch the show yesterday, and it was just outstanding.
Like the full thing?
Full thing from start to finish.
Okay.
The choreography is phenomenal.
Mhm.
Amy Penny directed it like outstandingly.
Shout out to Amy.
She did
kills
great.
it. Yeah, we're really, really excited. So make sure you come to Heathers showing tomorrow through Saturday.
Sunday.
Tomorrow through Sunday. And tune in on Thursday where Kayla and Katie are going to talk about the Netflix original show, The Circle.
That's all today for GC360. Join us Thursday for our next show where we will continue to talk about Netflix original show, The Circle.
I'm Caroline Hearn.
And I'm Frankie Mastras. When we're not on air, we keep you up to date on our social media pages. Facebook.com/GC360, at GC360 News on Twitter and Instagram, and on our YouTube page, youtube.com/GC360news.
Always available to you, GC360, where news and entertainment come full circle. I'm really excited to see